Hello and welcome to the latest Patreon behind the scenes vlog slash writing vlog combination video of mine. So here's the thing, this is actually going to be 3 different topics in one this time. This is going to be a bumper video. Hopefully I'm going to keep it under 10 minutes in length. We'll see how that goes. And I made some notes about what I was going to say beforehand, but I'm largely winging it. So let's hope that all of my public speaking experience and theatre and drama history serves me well there. We'll see. The 3 parts of this are, first of all, I've been writing something for a while now, and to hold myself accountable and to update people on the process and give them hopefully helpful, cool insights. I'm putting out these kind of regular-ish writing updates about how I'm doing and what I'm doing and what it's like to try and work on a piece of writing that I've been trying to do on and off for about 3 years now. Crikey, where does the time go? Part 2 will be some future sort of, I don't want to say Patreon changes, but a bit of Patreon news and updates about a few things that I want to do, and hopefully something cool that will appeal to you. If you have traffic and rain noise in the background, that's because I have there's some possums on my computer. I have the window open. I have the window open and some possums on my. What a life! What a time to be alive. So you can all hear the rain. If you'd like me to close the window, write something in the comments below and I'll close it, because there is a bit of a draft, but it just sounds nice. It feels nice. And part 3 is some more serious life things that are related to my writing and my work, which I'm going to touch on as well. And I feel like this is the right order to do them in, because if you want the basic vlog update, that's coming first. If you want to know about what's going on in the Patreon, generally that'll come second. And if you want to hear some more sobering and more life-related things, that comes third, and it's up to you how much of that you want to listen to and when you want to check out. Since I last did my writing vlog update on this piece of work that I've returned to in force, I've actually made some progress and I've done some writing. Here's my insights on this for the last sort of week and a half of that since my last update. I don't have a structure that for this piece of work is what I've decided. What I have now is all these individual sections that I am writing. And I have written more sections of them, and I've written bits that I didn't write before in the past that I know I want to include. And I'm identifying common threads and themes between these things. So imagine, actually, here's a story. When I was at university, when I was 26, 27 in my second year, I had to do an essay on one of my favorite philosophers, who is an Austrian guy called Wittgenstein. And I had a lot of trouble writing this essay because Wittgenstein can be very difficult to study, and it was a complex topic. And you don't need to know the specifics of all of this. What you need to know in this story is I eventually wrote out a lot of this essay, printed it out, and then attacked it with a pair of scissors and cut it up into different paragraphs and sections, laid them all out on a table, and started moving them around and going, well, hang on, this makes more sense with regard to this other point here. So maybe this point, this paragraph should follow this one. And that was how I eventually finished that essay. I had terrible trouble with that essay. There was a lot of stuff on my course that was difficult, but on the whole, I struggled with a few different things at university, but usually when it came to actually doing assignments and researching them, I usually gave myself enough time, and I usually had an idea of what I wanted to say, and I usually understood the problem ahead of me. And I didn't in this. It was one case where I didn't, and I couldn't pull my ideas together. I had to write lots of stuff and literally tear it apart and then go, okay, this thematically works better if I start with this paragraph here and then move into this one. I don't know if that's much of a writing tip. I think it might be, particularly for anyone doing journalistic or non-fiction work. But honestly, how much fiction do you think you have absorbed that actually follows that kind of pattern as well? I think it might be more common than you think, with people jumping back and forth between the present and past, flashbacks, things like that. That's what I'm doing right now, basically, with this piece of work. I have written a few thousand more words, which is good progress. It's slow for me generally, but for this piece of work, it's good. And I'm starting to see not the shape of the thing, but I'm starting to see the general themes. If I can get out every idea that I want to get out, I just have to rearrange it all until it works. And then once it's all in the right order, I'll smooth it and it will flow better, and I'll make sure, it reads. This will be a hard piece of work to do because that is always my least favorite part of any writing. Is once the piece is mostly done and I'm just closely reading it over and over again, that is the point where I can't see the wood for the trees anymore, and it becomes a lot less joyful. And I usually get a lot of joy out of writing, and this is the thing I'm going to move on to in the more serious section. We're at 6 minutes. This is not going to be 10 minutes. But that's how progress with that is going. If you have had experiences of working on a piece of work in that kind of way, I'd be interested in how that is. I don't recommend doing essays on Wittgenstein. At that point, I had a BB gun, and this was a weird moment of insanity. I just remember loading it with plastic BBs and shooting a box of cornflakes, which is the most mundanely angry thing to do. What did you do, Paul? I was so angry I shot a box of cornflakes with a BB gun. Wow, that's the maddest thing ever. That's so angry. I've never heard that before. Isn't that weird? I just remember shooting in the kitchen going like, how am I going to finish this piece of work? I got like a B+ in the end. I got what in Britain we call a 2-1 for that essay. It wouldn't be an 8. It would be like a B+. Basically, it was pretty good. It could have maybe been a bit better, but I also had to get on with my life. Hopefully that's a cool, interesting writing update. The major change that's going to happen with my Patreon, it's not that major, but hey, if you're at the $8 tier, which means you get monthly updates about, more general stuff I've been doing that month, how I feel, a lot of stuff about anything, anywhere I've been, media I've consumed, things I'm reading, things I'm watching, things I'm playing. I like doing that, but I think it could be fun to expand that a bit, and actually also for anyone at the $8 tier, try and turn that into a monthly hangout. Because a couple of friends of mine have been doing this and have said, hey, this is quite good fun. It's always difficult trying to coordinate it because sometimes people can't make a time, and I have to, stick a date in a calendar. And it might be a little fluid month to month. It might be like, I want to do it on a weekend each month, which will be a different day. And it might be a bit fluid time-wise based on other things in my life. So I don't think it's ever going to be a thing that everybody will be able to make it to. But I think a lot of people might like that. And it doesn't hugely put me out. And I think it'd be another cool way to connect with people. I like having a Patreon Discord where I connect with people, and I like Twitch streaming where a lot of the same Patreon people just come and watch me and have a chat with me there on Twitch. Might not have a short chat with me for 45, 60 minutes about life, media we're consuming, books, video games, TV shows. I was going to say I shouldn't record this in the middle of the night, but hey, it's always the middle of the night somewhere. A friend of mine used to say that in airports. He used to just say, it's evening somewhere. I may as well have a drink before I get on the plane. And it's true. That's why airports just serve everyone everywhere all the time. They don't know. They're not judging. Hopefully you're not judging. You're probably judging. I will also probably for a little while, I definitely have a couple of short fiction pieces I want to finish and put up on Patreon. So for a short while, my Patreon may be some fiction. I'd hope to do a few more travelogues and journalistic type things. But I am struggling to write some of that stuff a bit more, and I've had good responses when I've put up short stories before. My intention was never to publish a lot of short stories, but people keep saying that they like them, and I keep enjoying doing them. And I can't do long form fiction right now, my brain doesn't work for that. I'll get to that in a moment. But short form fiction, like the last story I put up, which was a couple of thousand words, has gone down well. So there's going to be a bit more, and I hope you enjoy that. And please let me know if there are particular themes or things or stuff you like about that. So that will also be happening. Just so you know, just a bit of an advanced thing. Here's a teaser. There's a story I have been working on and off on for a while about mountain climbing, but not really. It's not really about mountain climbing, but it sort of is. That's the theme and the setting for it, and I just thought it was a cool setting for some of the other things that I wanted to explore. We'll see. Maybe I like it. Maybe terrible. I've had to do more research for it than I thought because I feel weird if I try and make up stuff that then later clashes too much with reality. You know, I'm probably going to get some details wrong anyway, but you know, getting things terribly wrong just feels lazy. And the last bit of this, which is probably maybe the most serious bit, I know for loads of people 2021 has been a very hard year, and I've talked about it being a hard year before, and other people have, and we're in a period of history, like it was barely a decade ago we had sort of a global recession and downturn anyway, and we've had a lot of people I know have been in places where they've been affected by a pandemic and some amount of political turmoil or uncertainty and feelings about justice and fairness in the world. It has been a difficult time for me, as you may have picked up from possibly things that I have talked about on social media or things I've shared elsewhere. As of a few weeks ago now, I started going to a regular support group for people with post-traumatic stress disorder. And 2019, 2020, both those years, I did some extensive therapy. And also over the last sort of month or so, I have been reading what is a relatively new book I've just discovered. I've been reading The Body Keeps the Score, which is a book lots of people may have heard of or talked about, which is about trauma and PTSD and things like that, and how people act, how these things affect people, and how they physically affect the body as well, because they do produce substantial changes in the body. They can change the altering behavior of the brain, alter the behavior and sort of the function of the brain, and the presence of certain chemicals in you for like stress hormones and things for long periods of time does things to you. All of these things have there are a lot of different things that happen, and this book is actually pretty recent. It was first published towards the end of 2014, and I think the bigger or more popular second edition was the end of 2015. So that's 6-7 years, and it's still sort of percolating down through medical and psychiatric and sort of psychology practice. We're still absorbing a lot of these ideas from this very new thing. And I feel like now that I am switched on to a lot more of this stuff, I see it more, like I see people talking about it more and people understanding it more, and I see how it's been, how it's come up in therapy that I've done, and how it's discussed online, and how people might be reflecting on things they've directly learned from this work or secondhand through other people. The long and short of it is, like you may have seen also a video I posted with a weird story. It was almost this time last year, it was a bit more than a year ago, it was Christmas time, when I found a very injured animal outside, and it felt very silly for me to relate this story, and very petty, because it was a very injured squirrel, and I ended up calling the BC Animal Services, and they came out to collect it and take it away. And the bit of the story that is the big deal is the fact that I didn't have a problem finding an injured animal, and I didn't have a problem staying with an injured animal for however long until it was picked up, like 30-45 minutes or something, because they had to come out like some distance, and there were Christmas decorations around, so it was like around Christmas time, and like everything was busy. The problem I had was when the person on the end of the phone took everything that I said seriously and believed that this was a problem and said, okay, we're going to come and help. And that moment actually was what I found really affecting and really upsetting. I have had for 3 years now nightmares, and I never used to have nightmares. I had them a bit as a kid, and then I didn't have them much really as a teen, as a young adult. I can remember having like one or two dreams where scary things happened and they stuck with me because it was so weird. Usually I just had weird dreams, or I had dreams about people I knew, or I had a lot of dreams about traveling. But I have nightmares now. And they can sometimes be the kind of nightmares where you wake up startled. Often they just feel really gross and unpleasant. And often they're nightmares where I struggle to get people to believe me or take me seriously. And they've included, I'm not going to go into all of them or why now, but they have included me, like one of them featured a fire and me trying to like call the fire brigade and be like, hey, there is a fire, you should probably come. And the fire brigade being like, no, it's not that big, it'll be fine, we don't believe you. And another involved the police and like an armed person trying to break into my home, my old sort of childhood home that I was back in with my family. And the police saying, well, do you think it's really that big a deal? Or like, we don't really believe you. And I think in light of that, and having done therapy and talked about things with people, it probably made big deal. It was a big deal to me to have somebody, to raise a concern with someone, especially a stranger, in a position of like some authority, and have them say, yeah, okay, let's do something about that. This is serious. It has been a really hard year for me to write and to work and sometimes to function. Outside of anything pandemic related, I've been very, very lucky that I have lots of, I've got support. I've got a good doctor. And I'm able to talk to him about mental health issues. I'm able to, within a support group, talk with people who have similar experiences, and I've been able to do that in the past, and it's very helpful to do that, because when other people haven't been through a similar experience or don't know about a thing, it's very hard to know how to talk to people about something and how to bring something up and how to articulate something that profoundly affects you that is not visible from the outside, because it's not like I haven't lost my sense of humor. I haven't lost my ability to do a lot of things, or to to enjoy spending time with my friends, or to want to go and do all sorts of stuff. In many ways, I'm the same person, but I also have suffered from what's called anhedonia, which is sometimes like a loss of pleasure in anything, a loss of motivation. I've had terrible trouble sleeping. I've always been a bit of a weird sleeper where I'd sleep at all sorts of times, but I didn't have trouble sleeping. I would just like be up late and I'd work and then I might sleep in. And that's different to not wanting to sleep because of nightmares, or not being able to sleep, or falling asleep in the middle of the day for 6 hours because I feel exhausted and I don't know why. Maybe it's stress, maybe it's my body, maybe it's, the result of some health or operations or medication, some of which is tied in with my mental health stuff, because it's all connected. I can't really do anything else but write. I'm stuck being a writer because you put me in an office with invoices and a telephone and a stapler, and I don't know what's going on. I think you dial 9 for an outside line. I like being able to sit down and write things, and I like writing about people. I like interviewing people. I like sometimes trying to create stories. I like making games, and I like making games with a narrative aspect to them. And I like talking about the world. and all of this, and I get to do this through my Patreon, and I don't want to stop doing a Patreon, and I don't want that to suffer, and this defines who I am. But I've had a lot more trouble writing this year. I've had a lot more trouble working. I've had less attention span. I've had problems with my memory. I have had a lot of things that this book tells me are normal for somebody like me, which is both in some way validating and another way really upsetting, because it confirms for me that all of this stuff is real and all of this is happening to me, and it will all affect my life for some time. Like, there are problems that I've had for some time, and they are going to continue for some time, and I don't like that. So I am going to keep doing my best to write and make things for people, because it's what I do and it's what I want to do. And I know that plenty of times Patreon supporters will say to me, oh, it's okay if like you're a bit late with something, or we like what you do, don't get stressed. But it's not just about that. It's about, hey, I want to do this. It's important to me to do this. I have this work ethic thing in me where I'm not some weird, sensitive artist who's inspired and creative. You do the work by turning up and by trying. And maybe not every day is easy, but you keep turning up and you keep trying, because the days, that's how you make the work happen. That's how you make those days happen, is by being there and being present and being at the keyboard or being at a piece of paper and trying. 10 minutes. Yeah, that didn't happen. This timer says 21:48. I'm going to record a separate video, not for Patreon, but more generally for the world, about trauma and PTSD a little bit, because a couple of things have happened recently within communities that I'm in that have also really affected me. And they've been to do with either people I've known or people within circles I know, and one was a big one last year and two have more recently happened this year, and it's been very upsetting to see them happen, and it's been upsetting to see how people respond to them in particular. Because most people, I assume, probably most people haven't read this book. Most people don't know that much about trauma. Most people don't know much about PTSD. Most people, the same way, everybody has an internet opinion about how to do your job, or how government should work, or how, I don't know, all the sort of things they see on TV. And I am sick of that. Because if I wanted to go out and talk about some things in my life, one of the most profound, affecting things would be, or one of the certainly most preventative things would be, do I care about what other people think? What are people going to say? How frustrating is or isn't that going to be? I don't know. With me, it's different. But when I see it happen to other people in situations sometimes I can relate to, or I think like I know someone else who has been in that position, it's very, very, it's upsetting, it's frustrating, it's a lot of things. I don't know what else I was going to say about this. I've written very brief notes that are too far away for me to read. That's it. Writing has been harder, and it's turned from something that is usually a lot more joyful for me to something that is more joyless sometimes. Because there's nothing else much that I want to do or that I feel I can do, and yet I don't know, and some days I have very bad days, and some days I wake up and I feel great, and I still find things funny, and I still laugh at myself when I make silly mistakes, and I still don't want to take the world too seriously or myself too seriously. Hopefully all of that makes sense. Thanks for watching all of this. Thank you for subscribing to my Patreon. If you do, perhaps you don't, perhaps you're just watching this anyway and are curious. Thanks for taking an interest in what I do. I appreciate that. Thanks for listening for 25 minutes, which is what this is. Thanks for telling me whether to close the window or not. Did I close the window? We'll never know. We'll never know. Maybe the moment this video ends, the window closed. Maybe it didn't. I can't be too serious for too long. I just can't. There is a thing with a lot of mental health, and I'm now thinking of a particular friend of mine, actually. So think of this as the postscript to this video. Thinking of a friend of mine and the way they talk about mental health on social media, and how a lot of the time they seem like they really have it all together and they're doing great. Because sometimes they do and sometimes they are, and they're still funny. And I think sometimes about people who have been through unpleasant situations who are told that they don't seem sad enough. And maybe that's the biggest worry I have, is that I don't seem sad enough. And that's maybe because I don't want to be sad. I want to be glib and silly and fun, and you know, if I can't laugh at myself even in weird circumstances, I don't know what to do. I think if I've never thought about an epitaph before, but I think if I had one, it would have to be more whimsical and funny than anything else, because I don't know, that still feels like one of the better things to bring into the world is some fun. Yeah, that was a very long unscripted video update. Now I've got to take this off my phone and put it on my computer. That's it. Still not going to tell you what's going to happen with the thing. Thanks for washing. Thanks for washing. Appreciate you. Goodbye.